Welcome viewers, you're now watching Hornbill TV. Nepal is witnessing one of the most dramatic political transformation in its modern history. In a stunning turn of events, a youth-led political wave has not only toppled the old establishment but has now taken full control of the government. Just days after nationwide attention on accountability and justice, Nepal's former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has been arrested over his alleged role in the deadly crackdown during last year's Gen Z protest. Now, this comes barely 24 hours after a historic swearing-in ceremony where Balen Shah, a former rapper turned reformist leader, took oath as Nepal's youngest Prime Minister, marking a decisive break from decades of traditional political dominance. But this is more than just a change in leadership. This is the direct outcome of the 2025 Gen Z movement, a nationwide uprising driven by youth anger over corruption, unemployment and governance failures, where protests so intense that they led to dozens of deaths and ultimately the collapse of previous government. And today, those voices of protest are no longer on the streets, they are now inside the cabinet. Let's now take a closer look at the faces behind the historic transition, the individuals who are not only shaping Nepal's new political era, but also embody the aspiration of an entire generation that demanded change. From seasoned policy experts to young leaders who emerged directly from the streets of protest, these are the people now entrusted with turning a powerful movement into real governance. Once known for his music and outspoken criticism of the system, Balen Shah first rose to political prominence as the independent mayor of Kathmandu, where he built a reputation for bold governance and anti-corruption drives. Born in Kathmandu, trained as a civil or structural engineer, also widely known as rapper and youth icon, which gave him early popularity among urban youth, represents a rare blend of technical expertise plus pop culture influence. First rose to prominence by contesting the 2022 Kathmandu mayoral election as an independent candidate. He won against major party candidates, which is seen as a rejection of traditional politics. As mayor, took strict action against illegal constructions, focused on urban governance reforms, built a reputation for decisive and sometimes controversial leadership, but later aligned with the Rashtriya Swatantra Party (RSP) and led it to victory in the 2026 elections and became the face of anti-establishment politics. Though not a street protest leader, he amplified youth concerns, corruption, unemployment, governance failure. He symbolized clean, non-traditional leadership, and his popularity surged after the protest crackdown when people demanded new leadership. He heads a cabinet where most ministers are under 40, also holds key portfolios like defense and industry, indicating centralized leadership. Focusing areas where anti-corruption reforms, urban and infrastructure development, youth employment and governance digitization, his transformation from rapper to reformist leader resonated deeply with Nepal's youth, especially during the Gen Z protests, where he became a symbol of change even without directly leading the streets. Now as Prime Minister, Balen Shah leads a government formed after a landslide electoral victory, carrying the expectations of an entire generation demanding transparency, accountability and results. Moving on to another leader is Sudan Gurung, Home Minister, a former DJ turned activist. Sudan Gurung represents the core of the Gen Z movement itself. He played a key leadership role during the protests, organizing demonstrations and negotiating with authorities. Today, as Home Minister, he is responsible for maintaining law and order and, more importantly, ensuring justice for those who lost their lives during the uprising. Sudan Gurung, now serving as Nepal's Home Minister, represents one of the most striking transformations in the country's evolving political landscape. With an unconventional background as a former DJ and youth activist, he gained prominence through his social initiative Hami Nepal, which focused on grassroots mobilization and civic engagement. His transition from activism to formal politics was marked by his ability to connect with young people and organize them effectively, earning him a reputation as a dynamic youth mobilizer and strategist. Gurung played a central and highly influential role in the Gen Z-led protest movement that reshaped Nepal's political direction. He was deeply involved in organizing demonstrations, coordinating protests, activities, and crucially negotiating with authorities during moments of tension. Often seen as a bridge between the streets and the state, he became a key representative for protesters' demands, helping translate public anger into structured political dialogue. As Home Minister, Gurung now holds one of the most sensitive and powerful portfolios overseeing law enforcement and internal security. His position places him at the forefront of critical challenges, particularly the need to reform the police system, ensure accountability for any violence that occurred during the protests. His leadership will be closely watched as he balances maintaining order with upholding the democratic ideals that brought him to power. Ultimately, Gurung's journey from protest leader to policymaker embodies the broader transition of Nepal's new political generation, marking him a crucial figure in sustaining public trust in this emerging regime. Moving on to the next one is Swarnim Wagle. Swarnim Wagle is the finance minister, and unlike many others, Wagle is a technocrat with global experience, having worked with institutions like World Bank and UNDP. BEC London School of Economics, MPA, ID, Harvard University, PhD, Australian National University. Those were his educational background, and he is also someone with strong academics. He represents the policy brain of the government, tasked with stabilizing Nepal's economy after political turmoil and translating protest demands into sustainable economic reform. A highly educated economist with a PhD, he is widely regarded as one of Nepal's most respected economic policy experts, having worked with major international institutions such as the World Bank and UNDP. His career has been defined by deep involvement in development planning and economic reform, most notably serving as the former vice chair of Nepal's National Planning Commission. Unlike many political figures, his entry into politics became not through mass mobilization, but as a technocrat reformist voice within the RSP, where he built a reputation for policy expertise and pragmatic decisions making. While he was not a direct participant or leader in the Gen Z protest movement, his importance grew significantly in the aftermath. As public demand shifted from protest to governance, he emerged as a trusted figure capable of delivering stability and competence in a fragile political environment. This positioned him as a key choice for leadership in economic affairs during a critical transition period. Now serving as finance minister, he faces the formidable task of stabilizing Nepal's economy in the wake of political upheaval. His primary focus areas include enforcing fiscal discipline, attracting foreign investment, and creating sustainable employment opportunities. His role is crucial not only for economic recovery but also for ensuring that promises of the new political era translate into tangible improvements in people's life. Shishir Kanal, Foreign Minister, an education reformer, a policy expert, Kanal brings experience from governance and civil society. Bachelor's in International Political Economy and Diplomacy, University of Bridgeport, USA, Masters, MIPA, Public Affairs, University of Wisconsin, Madison, USA. He has one of the strongest academic backgrounds in policy and governance. As Foreign Minister, he now faces the challenge to balancing Nepal's relations with regional powers like India and China, while also representing a new reform-oriented Nepal on the global stage. An education reformer and policy expert, he is best known as the co-founder of Teach for Nepal, an initiative focused on improving the quality and accessibility of education across the country. With a strong foundation in policy and institutional reform, he has consistently advocated for systematic changes in Nepal's education sector, positioning himself as a forward-thinking voice in governance and public service. His political career has been marked by both experience and credibility. Previously served as Nepal's education minister as well in 2023 and was elected as a member of parliament from Kathmandu, where he gained recognition for pushing governance reforms and shaping education policy. Unlike traditional politicians, his approach has largely been policy-driven, emphasizing long-term structural improvements over short-term political gains. Although he was not also a frontline leader during the protests, the Gen Z protest movement, he aligned himself with its broader reform agenda, supporting the demands for transparency, accountability, and better governance. His stance helped bridge the gap between technocratic policymaking and the aspiration of a politically awakened youth population. Now serving as Foreign Minister, he holds a crucial portfolio in navigating Nepal's complex international relations. his responsibilities, including managing the delicate balance of India's-Nepal ties, handling strategic diplomacy with China, and strengthening Nepal's global partnership. In a time of political transition, his role is vital in ensuring that Nepal maintains stability and credibility on the international stage while aligning foreign policy with the country's reform-oriented domestic version. Sasmeet Pukarel, Education Minister. At just around 29, he is among the youngest ministers representing Gen Z directly inside the government. His role is crucial in addressing one of the core issues that spark protests, youth frustration and lack of opportunities. Sasmeet Pukarel, serving as Nepal's Education Minister, is one of the youngest members of the cabinet. In his late 20s, symbolizing a powerful generational shift in the country's leadership, his rise reflects the growing influence of young voices in the governance, particularly in the wake of Nepal's Gen Z-driven political transformation. More than just a political figure, Pukarel represents the very demographic that fueled the recent protest movement. While not necessarily a frontline protest leader, his presence in government embodies the aspiration of young Nepalis who demanded change, accountability, and a greater say in shaping the nation's future. He stands as a direct bridge between the energy of the streets and the responsibilities. As Education Minister, his role will be dearly watched as both critical and closely scrutinized. He starts with reforming Nepal's education system, more modern, inclusive, and aligned with global standards. Sobita Gautam, Law Minister, a young lawyer and one of the youngest MPs in Nepal, she symbolizes the entry of youth into legislative power. Undergraduate degree in Development Studies from Kathmandu University, she also pursued BA LLB, Tribhuvan University. She is now responsible for legal reforms and strengthening democratic institutions in post-crisis Nepal. Coming down to Sunil Lamsal, who is a Nepali politician associated with the new generation leadership wave that emerged after the 2025 Gen Z political shift. Known for his low-profile and technocratic approach, he is not a traditional political heavyweight, but part of the post-reform cohort that rose during Nepal's political restructuring. Although not a frontline protest leader, he benefited from the momentum created by the youth-led movement and is seen as part of the new leadership class backed by public demands for change. As Minister for Infrastructure and Physical Development, Lamsal is responsible for key sectors such as road connectivity, urban structure, the infrastructure expansion, transport modernization, and overall public works planning. Sunil Lamsal symbolizes the rise of low-profile, development-focused leader who emerged from Nepal's post-protest political transition, prioritizing infrastructure and governance delivery over traditional political rhetoric. Biraj Bhakta Shrestha is also a Nepali politician serving as the Minister for Energy in the Balen Shah-led government and is considered one of the relatively more experienced figures within an otherwise youth-dominated cabinet. Unlike many ministers who rose directly from the 2025 Gen Z protest movement, Shrestha's political journey predates this wave, giving him a stronger footing in Nepal's conventional political framework. Biraj Bhakta Shrestha comes from a political background that predates the recent Gen Z wave, making him one of the more experienced figures in Nepal's current youth-heavy cabinet. Unlike many newly emerged leaders, he is not primarily known for activism or protest politics, but for his steady involvement in Nepal's evolving political landscape. His profile is relatively low-key and policy-oriented, and he is often seen as a stabilizing presence within the government, representing continuity and administrative experience amid a broader generational shift. While he was not a frontline participant in the protests, he aligns with the broader reform agenda that emerged from them and contributes to the government's stability through experience. In his role as Energy Minister, he is responsible for managing Nepal's hydropower sector, expanding energy production, and more so on. Nepal's economic progress as well. His presence in the cabinet reflects a strategic balance between youthful leadership and administrative experience. Khadak Paudel is a Nepali politician who comes from a more traditional political background compared to many of his younger cabinet colleagues as before. He is the Tourism Minister of Nepal, cabinet rank in the current Gen Z government. Khadak Raj Paudel is currently serving as the Minister for Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation of Nepal in the Balen Shah-led government, having assumed office on 27 March 2026. He is not primarily associated with post-protest driven politics but has been involved in regional and mainstream political activities over time. Known for his relatively low-profile and governance-focused approach, Pukarel represents experience and continuity with Nepal's new generation government, helping balance the influx of younger, reform-oriented leaders. However, like many mid-career Nepali politicians, he is understood to have completed higher education within Nepal, likely in fields related to humanities, public administration or social sciences. Nisha Mehta, who is currently serving as the Health Minister of Nepal in the Balen Shah-led government. She is part of the new generation leadership that emerged after the protests, a political chief, and is known for her low-profile approach rather than traditional mass politics. Although not a frontline protest figure as well, she rose within the broader reform wave, which was also driven by youth demands for change. She will be responsible for strengthening the public healthcare system, improving infrastructure, expanding access to medical services, and many more, making her key figure in delivering governance-focused reforms in Nepal's health sector. Moving on to Bikram Timal Sinha, who is currently serving as the Minister for Communication and Information Technology of Nepal in the Balen Shah-led government. He is part of the new generation leadership, representing a youth-driven reform-oriented political wave. While not a central figure in the streets protests, he rose through the political transformation that followed, benefiting from strong public demand for transparency and digital governance. Known for a relatively low profile and modern outlook, Timal Sinha is responsible overseeing Nepal's communication sector, digital infrastructure, media regulation and IT development, which also makes him a key figure in advancing digital governance and information accessibility. Next is Pratibha Rawal, serving as Cabinet Minister in the Balen Shah-led government. She is part of the new generation leadership and also representing the growing presence of young, reformed-oriented politicians. Although not a frontline figure during the protests, she rose within the political transformation that followed. Known for her relatively low-profile approach, Rawal contributes to the government's focus on inclusive governance and policy implementation, and her inclusion also reflects the increasing role of women leaders in Nepal's evolving political landscape. Another woman in the game is Sita Bari, who is currently serving as a cabinet minister in the Balen Shah-led government. She evolving political landscape. While not a prominent figure during the frontline protests, she rose in the post-movement political restructuring, which is slightly different, benefiting from the broader demand from change and representation. Modest and low profile, Wadi's presence in the cabinet highlights efforts towards greater social inclusion and also not forgetting diversity, which is particularly for underrepresented communities within Nepal's new reform-oriented government. Coming down to Deepak Shah, who is currently part of the new Balen Shah-led government, representing the broad wave of young and reform politicians entering national governance, although not a frontline leader as well, that followed, benefiting from public demand, accountability and systematic change. Relatively low profile, focused on development, governance, delivery and regional representation, reflecting the inclusive, youth-driven nature of Nepal's new political era. Last but not the least, Geeta Chaudhary, who is a cabinet minister in the Balen Shah-led government. She is part of the new formed government, both youth-driven reform politics, increasing women's participation in governance. She rose through the political transformation that followed, benefiting the widespread public demand for accountability and inclusive leadership. Known for her grounded and relatively low-profile approach, Chaudhary contributes to the government's focus on grassroots development, social welfare and inclusive policymaking, reflecting the broader shift towards a more representative and reform-oriented political system in Nepal. While some members like Swarnim, Wagle and Shishir Kanal bring a strong global academic credentials, many others represent a different kind of leadership, emerging not from elite constitutions but activism, grassroots mobilization and the momentum of Nepal's Gen Z movement. That's all for now. Thank you for watching Hornbill TV.